And welcome to the Huge Boob Corner, another episode, another more busty fun. I'm Peter McLean, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been watching and commenting and liking and everything. I really appreciate it. So yeah, just keep doing that to help the channel grow. Today, my guest is a super sexy adult performer. She's got curves in all the right places. And of course, she's got amazingly huge boobs. I would love you to welcome Miss Thick Lizzy.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being able to have time, because I know you had some stuff going on and it's been kind of crazy since you've been here.
Yeah, my whole trip, I'm literally going from California to Florida, had about 2 days to plan the entire thing. Last minute. So I'm happy that I'm getting anything done.
Yeah. And was it mainly just to get more content?
Well, I was visiting home and I've been looking for a new truck. Last minute, a friend had a truck to sell me for really cheap. Catch was it was in California and I live in Florida.
Okay. Yeah.
But if anyone is going to plan a last minute road trip across country, it's me.
Might as well.
Yeah.
You know?
And luckily from a lot of traveling in the past, I know a lot of people along the way and was able to book some shoots in LA and a couple of collabs while I'm here and
nice.
be able to do this and
yeah.
Accidentally saw Sick New World and watched Slipknot and System of a Down last night from my hotel room. Like, that was awesome.
And you had no idea that was going to be happening.
I stay at the same hotel all the time. I call it the Old People Hotel.
Okay.
Because there's no casino. And because usually when I'm here, I used to work festivals. Now I do, porn.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm fucking tired when I go home. And I don't want to walk through a casino full of drunk people. So I go to this hotel where it's always like really quiet. There's nothing going on. That's why I stay there.
Yeah.
I pull up yesterday and I get like a block from the hotel and then it takes me an hour to get the last block before I get in. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh
like
my
this
God.
whole fest is literally right here. But I was like, you know what? That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me get a room on the fest side. And they were like, you're the only person who's wanted that all day.
Oh, nice.
But it was cool. So I went, and I could see everything from my room.
Yeah, I saw some pictures that you were posting.
And I went out and I went to the parking garage because there's other stages that I could see from the parking garage. They came up and were like,
oh,
they were not into that.
Okay.
Yes. And, but then I went and I sat and I listened to like System of a Down from the tailgate of my truck. And I was like, this is a pretty cool little unexpected moment in traveling.
Yeah.
On a work
definitely.
trip. Yes.
So you're planning on driving all the way back to Florida then when you're finished here?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're not looking, are you not a road trip person?
No, I am. I'm like a full-time traveler, but I wasn't planning to now.
Yeah.
And I'm also in a 30-year-old truck that I've like never driven before.
Oh, so you don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah. And like it's at my friend's shop right now. Well, a guy I just met today, but through mutual friends on me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A guy of a guy,
Yeah. Well, and that's like, it's in like, he's like, it works on motorcycles and stuff. And in that world, it's like a small community spread across the country. Yeah. So I trust him.
Okay.
I just left him my keys in my truck. So like,
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully it's not a huge issue.
Yeah. I might actually even go back to LA after this and do a couple more shoots because while I'm on the side of the country, it's like, I might as well.
Yeah. Because
because I'm avoiding the drive across Texas at all costs because I've done it a million times and
you're not a fan?
It sucks every time. I'll go to Austin and hang out. But
okay. Is it just because the state's so big that it takes so long to get through?
Yeah, and it's 10 hours of nothing.
Yeah, West Texas, there's not a lot.
Yeah, you just...
Yeah, Central Texas has a little bit more, and then it's like nothing until you get to like Houston.
Yeah, and then I have friends, like my best friend lives in New Orleans, and
okay,
I'll go stay with her for a few days probably. And then
nice.
It'll happen.
Get some road trip
I've already been on the road for 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm 37 now, and I need a lot more recovery time from everything that I do.
Isn't that funny how that kind of creeps up on you?
Yeah. And like even just like shooting, like I'll see some girls, they go do a content trip, they fly to LA and they do like 5 scenes. And I'm like, I did that once when I was in Vegas and it was miserable for me. Like I was sore head to toe.
Yeah, well, and that's like when people come here for AVN, they think that they can do the show and they can shoot.
And go socialize and be at the convention. No, I know I can't do it. It's like I have to choose. I always pick one night to go out when I'm on any kind of con. It's like usually try to save it for the last night when I have nothing more to do.
Yeah.
And I know I have to have the whole next day off because I cannot be hungover and like
trying to work
and look good. Like some people, I guess it's just, I think age definitely is part of it. But also I get very socially hungover. Like just walking through the AVN thing with how crowded it was. I'm like,
yeah. And then if people keep stopping you, wanting to converse, whether they're other models, whether they're fans, and you don't want to be too like abrupt and be like, oh, sorry, I got to go.
I'm overstimulated. I'm
like, I've hit my quota for the day.
Like there's too many sounds. So now I feel bitchy. Like,
so I wanted to ask like, just to get some history on when you got started, like with the adult industry and how you got into it and everything like that.
Like basically, I mean, I actually was really insecure about my body for most of my life up until I was like 30.
Okay.
Like even my last long-term relationship was in my late 20s. I didn't even like being naked with like my boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
But then I hit a little rock bottom after our breakup. And I was kind of like, with everything, I was just like, I'm like sick of being unhappy in a lot of other ways, but we don't need to get into that.
Okay.
And part of it was just like, I'm sick of like hating myself, like physically. And I started just kind of like posting a little bit more revealing stuff, just like on Instagram. And it got good response. Yeah. And then people started, asking for content outside of that. And so it originally started, I would just sell like a bundle of pictures. Back then I was traveling, working festivals, and I'd be like, oh, like, I'll send you some pictures for a tank of gas, which at that time was $30.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And this is in like 2017. This is like not like, which is, I guess, 7 years ago now, which is crazy.
I know.
Jesus. But it just started like that. And I didn't want to people were like, do an OnlyFans. And I was like, no, I don't want to. Like, I don't want them to take a cut of my money. And I didn't feel like I could do it very consistently.
Yeah.
Beginning of like end of 2019 or beginning of 2020, I finally like made an OnlyFans. And at that point, like first day I had like 100 subscribers because I'd built up so many people just followed my Instagram for that. And, I started, then pandemic hit and I built up my Twitter for OnlyFans and I made separate Instagram profiles for like Thick Lizzy persona. And I was getting shared on some Instagram pages for like motorcycle stuff. And it just it like blew up really quickly. And then I got approached to do my first pro scene within 6 months of starting my OnlyFans.
Okay, and who was that with?
Pure BBW out here.
Okay, yeah.
And he was I was like, I'm scared. And he was like, why? You're already fucking on camera for money. And I was like,
good point.
All right, well.
Touche.
Yeah, I have since learned he can be fairly pushy. But at the time, I actually I appreciated it and needed it.
Yeah.
And those first scenes went really well and they did really well. I think and just went from there and then started Plumper Pass and then started doing collabs and it all just like snowball.
Kind of mushrooms,
but I didn't plan it. People were like, how'd you get into it? And I was like, I don't know. It just happened.
Well, and it's a nice story now, though, because it seems like a lot of people get involved under their own desire. Yeah. Like, you don't have the stories of, oh, somebody approached me and said, hey, I can, that kind of old story that you would hear about the porn industry of like managers and agents approaching and stuff like that. So you don't have that as much now where it's more like you can see on your own. And you started doing stuff just kind of as it sounds like, kind of as
it was like for myself. It was like I was building up confidence in myself and, making gas money so I could travel, which was also something for myself. And like, because traveling helped me get out of like the rut, the very like not great place I was in. And like, it all just kind of fed off each other.
Yeah.
And through it, I met like a friend of mine who does like a motorcycle YouTube channel was someone that I like met through it. And I would go on his channel and I would just sit on the back of a motorcycle and
just bounce around.
Yeah, we'd go in slow motion. He'd hit bumps on purpose, and we wouldn't mention that I did porn or anything. We would just like my Instagram. And just people can figure it out for themselves. Kind of thing.
And huge boobs are always a great seller.
Yeah,
I mean, on anything.
It's definitely like I feel like because of what a pain in the ass they are on a daily basis. They deserve to pay for themselves.
Oh, I'm saying they're pulling their weight at least.
Yeah,
like literally.
Literally.
They're paying.
This is no joke. Like,
the
amount of sweat that's under here.
I know. And we'll get to that when we get to the
and I'm like, I have to pay for my future like chiropractor bills,
or acupuncture or whatever that you need to do.
Yeah, I do. I have to do a lot of stretching,
And that, because, natural boobs are, I think, more, you going to be a lot heavier than enhanced ones because there's not as much weight.
Does fat weigh more than implants?
I think so. Yeah, just
We
because.
needed an experiment.
Yeah, right. Well, I had.
Can we call someone in? To
Well, because when I had Marilyn Mason on the show, she was talking about.
I've held her boobs before.
Yeah.
I'm aware of. What
she was like, she's always wanted to weigh hers to see, like, but how do you do it? What kind of scale do you
I can
use?
tell you, because Erica Love, who you maybe you were probably familiar with.
I'm familiar with her. Yes.
I think she asked like an actual scientist, a boob scientist, no, like an actual scientist about it.
Yes.
People ask about it a lot, and water displacement is supposed to be the most accurate way to weigh them.
Okay.
And she did a whole thing. I don't remember what she said the weight was, but that supposedly is the best way to weigh a boob.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good to know. The more you know.
Yeah, I don't know if you could get some like water, a kiddie pool on
a
here.
big old tank or something to put in there.
Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, it's so funny because when I'm like home alone, I literally will just like sit like this. Like,
nice.
T-Rex arms.
Yeah,
but
right?
like they are heavy because I can hold many things under there.
Not yet. So
like,
yeah, right. No, it's fine. But yeah, we'll come back to that. But with going back to the modeling though, so like, was it something that you were kind of like? So I assume you enjoy making content for the most part.
Yeah, I have a great time. I still get nervous about it. I mean, because I think there's always that part. And I've actually talked to a lot of other models about this. I think a lot of us, there's a little imposter syndrome going on in there.
Possibly.
But at the same time, it's very fun. It makes me feel sexy. It makes me feel confident. I think it's so freeing. I grew up in a very like sexually open household. There was never any shame or any of that around sex.
All right.
So I've never had that like hold back. Like nudity and sex was never shameful in my house.
Yeah.
I was just ashamed of like my body at the time.
So doing this wasn't a response to being, say, held back.
No,
when
it's
you were
not
younger.
like I grew up in this like strict household and I had to like break free. No, I like broke free of my own
the mental
bullshit.
Yeah, the stuff when you look at yourself and you think to yourself, man, who wants to see me doing stuff? And
but like my parents were very like we all walked around naked at our house, not like everywhere, but like if you were changing clothes, it's not like you'd go hide.
Yeah. You wouldn't run away.
We weren't like chilling in the living room naked, but like
no. But there wasn't you weren't like a nudist family.
But I've never felt like so. I enjoy this community where it's like I don't know. I always think sex is it can be that deep, but it doesn't always have to be that deep. I definitely think casual sex is fine as long as people are like safe and open with their intentions and honest about it. Like I think it's great, and so I enjoy making content. I enjoy sharing that content with other people. Like it's just
Do you have a favorite thing about sex work that you've noticed?
I feel like it's allowed me just a lot of freedom in every way. I've met a lot of great people. I've been able to travel, like being able to plan a cross-country road trip at the last minute and be able to pick up shoots along the way. And how many people, like I stayed at Finney's Playhouse the other night. And then I saw friends over for game night that I'll know through the content world. And like, it's really nice that there's like a sense of community all over the world, really.
Yeah, you can pretty much go anywhere and find somebody.
And that's been really cool. I like that. And I've had a lot of people who have, sent me messages that were like, your content and whatever got me through some really dark times. And like, I also, for me, I chat with my fans, and I have a lot of fans who kind of know me through real life stuff, or they know me through like my buddy's YouTube channel or from like the music industry that I've always kind of been a part of.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have like a very kind of a more personal relationship with a lot of my supporters than maybe some people do. But I feel like it feels like I just have this like really big support system.
Yeah.
And I feel like then I give something back to it. It just feels like this big, like mutually beneficial relationship with like me and my fans. And it's just a cool feeling.
Yeah. And I'm curious because I think I saw this on you tweeted about this where the fact that you got started at the age that you did in your 30s that, I mean, so do you think that kind of affected like you were, you're a little older.
I think it's been very beneficial for me because I'm much more aware of like my needs, wants, boundaries, hard nose.
Yeah.
I've been in situations, I won't be naming any names, where I've been with people who've been a little pushy with me. And I'm definitely able to be like, no,
Yeah.
Whereas I think my younger self, who's a lot more like insecure, might have been pressured into doing the thing or would have kind of broken down in that situation.
Yeah.
Whereas I was kind of like, I feel like I've just have a lot more of like a sense of self. And I'm grateful for that because I think industry for me, I'm not saying for everybody, could have been harmful if I would have discovered it in my early 20s, because I was not wouldn't have been in a good mental place for it. So yeah. But it's also like one of those things that like growing up your whole life, growing up the age that I did, which is like mostly 90s.
Yeah, me too.
Which was like, basically I was told my whole life that when you hit 30, like as a woman, you are no longer desirable whatsoever.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I have found that like never in my life are like 18 to 25-year-old men have never been more obsessed with me than now when I'm 37. Like, it's crazy.
The MILF thing is strong.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not even a MILF.
I know, but yeah, it's. I mean, I know. Or do you usually do those? Do you lean into those kind of scenes when you do scenes?
I haven't. I feel I've been wanting to recently because I should. I like naturally, I'm definitely more of like a submissive in the bedroom, but like people. I'm also like, I'm a short person. Everyone on the internet thinks I'm like 5'10".
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to like bully them. And I'm actually like baby. But people think I'm the opposite because like my internet presence gives that, or because they just want me to be that.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to lean into doing some more scenes, especially I've talked with a lot of guys who are kind of early 20s in this industry and to do a little more like, take on a little more mommy role.
Yeah.
Because the desire and demand for it is there.
I mean, the stepmom stuff is insane.
I have shirts on my merch line that say, like, your future stepmom on them.
Nice.
I have your future stepdad, too, in case you're interested.
Okay.
But, like,
I can't. It's hard for me to look at myself in that way because I remember for me growing up, like, and you know, when I was younger and really being drawn to the you know, the MILF performers of that time. And I still look at women that are in their 40s and their 50s and think they're, you know, incredibly gorgeous and they have a lot of great sexual energy. But I'm starting to realize that women that are my age are now playing these MILF roles. And I'm like, I don't want to think of myself as like in that age bracket. Like, you know,
life comes at you fast.
It does.
You know?
It does.
Yeah. It's weird because in my lifestyle, I think is very young. I think a lot of people do think I'm younger, and I don't think it's necessarily because of appearances. I think it's because of like the way I live, kind of. And I feel like a lot of my friends tend to be a little younger because it just kind of, it goes more naturally with just like the way, like the kind of, I go to a lot of concerts and the traveling that I do and just everything.
You don't have this kind of, you know, lifestyle that makes you feel like you're.
I don't feel like a mommy.
Yeah, right.
But I think I could lean into it. I think I can lean into it.
Well, and depending on the because companies will obviously be a little more with typecasting in terms of and they'll typecast women that are in their like late 20s if they look a certain way to be like to play those stepmom.
I had a friend who she came into the industry I think in her early, she's like 41, 42, and one of her first scenes they're calling her like pervert grandma, and it's like she's 40.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, that's crazy.
But like porn age is so different from real life age.
Well, it's almost like I almost feel like there are parallels with Hollywood because Hollywood has always done that. They've always cast, and it's weird because they'll cast.
There's
like,
the high schoolers are played by 30-year-olds.
Yeah, and then you know the like parents are almost played by people too young.
Yeah.
So which is weird.
They're like the kids and the parents are like the same age. They're like 4 years apart.
It's just funny. So like in the third Indiana Jones film, Last Crusade, Sean Connery.
I watched that last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So Sean Connery, you know, plays his dad. He was only 12 years older than Harrison Ford, but you know, because of how they looked, they were able to play it off.
The beard color, definitely,
and the fact that he actually had his natural hairline because Sean Connery was bald.
Yeah.
He never had like by the third James Bond movie, he was wearing hair pieces. So.
Yeah, Harrison Ford could still get it for sure.
Yeah, no, he was you know, he was a good looking guy, and he really like he was somebody who was able to really kind of carry like into his 50s, really these kind of still like action type roles and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, it's just interesting though how that age thing when you look a certain way. And there might still be performers that look, say, younger, and they might be, you know, in their mid 30s, and they're still getting like, you know, the younger, you know, girl role.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of girls where we're the same age, but like our typecast is totally different because they're like very petite and they can be, they're like barely legal.
Yeah, right.
Like,
so, do you have any favorite type of scene that you like to do?
Honestly, I really like the ones where we kind of just go in. There's like not a script and not like a storyline.
It's just more
where you just
gonzo,
kind of
like reality.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like I've had a few recently where we just go on set and it was just kind of like there was some chemistry happening. And it was like the cameras, like what cameras? Like, and that's always really fun because I think chemistry can be read over through the screen like really well. I just shot a scene in LA with Jeff's models, and it was kind of like the concept was basically, this is Thick Lizzy. We finally got her here. Let's see what you can do. And then we just kind of went for it. It was not really much of it was like, try and hit a few positions, but just
just
see how it
just
go with it. And we just went with it. And I haven't seen it yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be really good.
Well, and I mean, do you get that vibe like when you feel like that was a good scene?
Yeah.
And then you see it
because
and you're like, it is.
Sometimes I have it where it's not. Like I've shot with somebody before where I was like, this man is not very into me. And like he did his job. He did the thing.
Yeah, but it's different.
But you can feel it.
Yeah.
And like it's when I don't know if other people can see it as much, but I can tell when I watch it back. I'm like, we were not connecting.
Yeah. Well, and I think when you're in that BBW world, it definitely has I mean, I think it is better when you have male talent that is attracted to BBWs just because they will put, I think, a better performance in. Yeah. As opposed to just kind of like hitting their marks, doing the technical, hitting it technically. But
it's funny because I was on set one time and I was with the male actor and the director was like, hey, do you need to like take anything to get ready? Like if you need to take a pill or whatever. And he was like, no, he's like, it's funny. I've been doing porn forever. And he was like, I was always doing straight sized sets and he had to take a pill. And he's like, when I work with BBWs, I don't have to.
Oh.
But then ironically, he's married to a small woman. But I think that's one thing that's come up for a lot with me recently because I've been trying, like, there's only so many BBW companies you can work for. Yeah. And there's not much in the way of management. And it's like I can work my ass off, but I still feel like you hit a wall because there's just not that many options.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to kind of break through, even just doing collabs, but like there are other like bigger female creators who will literally be like, I won't shoot with this guy because he shoots with BBW women. Or there's management companies that are like, if they're managing a male creator, he's not allowed to go work for like Plumper Pass because then they won't manage him. Or then other studios won't take him. Like it's very much a thing where there's still like very much like BBWs are here and like
a hierarchy.
And I'm like, we can get the same men in real life and in the mainstream life. So like,
well, I'm sure you get some DMs probably from men that are just like, either because I've had.
Yeah, I was like, I still got all the athletes in my DMs
that's what
too.
I'm saying.
Like I don't know who thinks they're like.
That's what I'm saying because you still get you're still desired.
Yeah, I'm like I've never struggled with that.
Yeah. So it's just it's wild that they continue to do that.
When I think there's always like, because porn is so much about fantasy and image, and I think there's still a lot of some of the studios and bigger companies are still a little behind the times.
Brazzers kind of started like because they've shot some BBWs.
Yeah, but then I've noticed there's definitely like the conventionally like acceptable type of BBW where it's like they still have a more of a flatter stomach. There's not a ton of stretch marks and kind of there's like a but you know what? It's progress.
Well, BBW has a spectrum though too.
Yeah, for sure.
There is not. That's why when you look at like the BBW award at AVN and you see all the different types.
Yeah, because there's always people getting men. They're like, oh, she's not a real BBW, and I'm like, that's also stupid. Yeah. So I'm like not giving any hate to like but like there's just in like the mainstream stuff, I think it's gonna go that way. I think they're gonna realize how much money there is in BBWs, and like the same with like heavily tattooed creators and like trans creators. Like it's baby steps. Well, it's like people. It's all people care about is money. Yeah. And so like once they they pull their heads out of their asses and are like.
Yeah. But at least you have your own avenues and you have your own revenue streams. That way you don't have to rely on them and try to fit into that image.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so nice now with like all the independent creator sites or having your own sites and is that you're not dependent on all the mainstream companies. But it's frustrating when it's like me and person B can start and be doing the same thing, work equally as hard, but like the amount of opportunities, they have 100 opportunities where I have 3 or 4.
A few, yeah.
Like when I walk into AVN, half of those booths and companies, they don't even see me, you know? And that is, it can be defeating at times, of course.
I can understand that.
After AVN, I'm always like,
yeah.
But then, you know, I worked with a male creator who's worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. And I was the first BBW he worked with. And he was like, that video sold so fucking well.
Yeah.
He was like, there's a market for it.
I'm sure. Yeah. Because I'm sure there's fans of that person who was like, I want to see you with these types of women, as opposed to just, because, you know, you do the same thing over and over and over again. Eventually, it just becomes kind of like, all right, yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. And like, obviously no hate at all to like the very thin and conventionally attractive creators. But like, we've also been seeing that body type. You can see that on every billboard, every magazine, like in a watch ad, you've got a half naked, like thin white woman. And like, I think that body type has been kind of like in our faces our entire lives. And I'm speaking, you know, kind of from my age perspective. Yeah. And so I do think that people are excited to see different things in mainstream porn. Yeah. And it's not just BBW, like I said, I'm talking about like different races, like all different kinds of body types, different tattoos, different gender, like all over the spectrum. I think people are just excited to see something that represents reality a little bit more.
Yeah, more of what's out there instead of just one narrow view of what they think everybody. Like you look at porn in the 90s and it's like you look at box covers and almost all the women look very similar to each other, whether, you know, all blonde, you know, fake boobs, all this stuff. And again, a lot of them were amazing performers. So it's not knocking
I have no hate on that too. I think I think I am not a body type picky person myself. Like for male and female, I like it all. Yeah. I like vibes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, connection is can be much better.
I think that goes a lot of people who have been working in the porn industry for a while, I think then in their personal life kind of are a lot more about the emotional connection because like I had some guy trying to show me his dick that he's like, it's so big. And I'm like, I do not care. I don't care. I've never cared less. I've seen so many dicks. And like just scrolling through Twitter because I'm on Twitter every day. I see a million dicks.
I get responses. Well, I'll post something on mine and I'll just get a bunch of dick pics as responses to mine. Or I don't know if they think that I'm the model, but I'm just like, because I specify every time I post.
I don't think they think much at all. They see boobie and they're like,
yeah, right. And I just look at it. I'm just like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'll be at Cheesecake Factory and pull it up. Oh, that's a response. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, is this your quesadilla? Yeah. Thank you very much.
I know. I have to forget because it's so. Me scrolling through Twitter and seeing, you know, it's like pussy, and then like free Palestine, and then someone's like butthole, and then
it's an interesting amount of stimuli.
And then it's like a band I follow, but I forget that I'm like, oh yeah, this is not normal for this person next to me in this airplane right now.
Yeah, right. So actually, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to talk to you about that was really interesting. So before you got into adult work, you were into music and festivals. So what did you do with that?
It all just kind of happened too.
Same thing? You just kind of fell into it?
Most of my life, the universe has just led me there. Okay. I started bartending on accident. And then I saw like a Craigslist ad for this festival up in Colorado. It was like a country fest. And they were like, need bartenders, country fest. Pays this much per hour and then all your tips. And I was like, that sounds cool. And I kind of like faked it till I'd never worked festival before, but I was like, I could do this for sure. And they were like, okay. And I went up and I did really well and I loved it because it's like super fast paced, super I've always liked event work and like concerts. And I like stuff that's made that exists like solely for people just having a good time or like events that are moments in time that people will like remember for their whole lives. And so I've always really liked that. So then I started bartending and then I kind of got into like managing bartenders and I would start sometimes come help up the setup and breakdown. And I just started traveling all over and working festivals because I just got hired on with one company and I would just kind of go do whatever they wanted. And then I started helping with some friends who put on fests all over. And I would always just kind of like, what do you need? Yeah. And I'm happy to come help because if they want me to sell merch, like, sure. If I need to go drive some bands around, sure. Oh, I need to go to Walmart to buy an extension cord. It's like, got you. It's just kind of everything.
Okay. And so like, would it be it was all different kinds of, like all different types of music?
Yeah. Like I personally, like I'm a metalhead and like metal and country are my like two loves, but I would work a lot of raves. Okay. Lots of raves. Like I was out here, I worked EDC out here in Vegas before.
Ooh, that's a crazy one.
worst money because the people don't drink a lot at raves. They're not
doing
there.
other stuff.
Yeah. And my shift was started, it was like 10 p.m. till like 8 a.m. because we had to do 24 hours.
Yeah.
So they were like overnight and it was like freezing, even though it was May. And I was like, what? But they did like, they would give us GA wristbands and we got to go like walk around it and stuff. They're like, you have to come back and be sober to work. But like here you can go explore. So walking around EDC as a sober person.
I mean, was the people watching interesting at least?
Oh, it was amazing. I had a blast, but it's like, it is a lot of people. That is just a lot of stimuli all over. And we walked around, we danced and whatever, but then it was like, get me out of here.
Yeah. Usually around 500,000 people come here for that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I made the least amount of money I ever did. Like I would work EDC where there's, hundreds of thousands of people and make one money. And then I'd work like 1,000 people country fest and make
tons.
Yeah.
Because they're all drinking beer probably.
Yeah, and it was just
shots.
like I literally like set up in like Lukenbach, Texas at like kissing booth and all I have is whiskey and one type of beer and it's $20 for both, And it's just like and everyone's like, "Thank you, ma'am." And I'm like,
yeah, right. Yeah, it's interesting how the crowds are different.
Yeah,
because I grew up in the Palm Springs area, and so there's Coachella, and then there's Stagecoach.
Yeah, Stagecoach is like this weekend. I have a bunch of friends that were there and working it in different ways, and
so but the crowds at Coachella and Stagecoach are so different from each other.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think there'd be a lot of overlap in those. I've never gone to either, though.
Okay, well, Coachella's gotten to the point now where it's more about being there just to be there. It's not even about the music.
It's influencer.
Yeah.
We got to go make our TikToks. And no hate on that either.
No. But that's what it's
bag, girl.
That's what it's turned into. Like I only went to Coachella once, and it was 20 years ago.
It's too big for me. That's too much for me.
And I was 18, so I had and the year that I was there, the headliners were Red Hot Chili Peppers and Beastie Boys.
Nice.
And that was it was a great year. It was only 2 days back then. You could go for a single day. The tickets were like $40, $50. You could actually go.
I don't even know how much it is now. I've never looked.
It's like hundreds just for the basic.
I've been beyond I've been on Coachella TikTok because that's what everything is, and it was just like just the cost for like to set up in the campgrounds and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. But because you have this culture that goes to things like Coachella, because it's become so, I hate to use the word corporate, but it's just become such a big event that it is more like you want to be seen at Coachella as opposed to you just want to go.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Stagecoach is still more about the music. It's still more about the artists that people want to go see. And again, like I remember,
I don't even know who was playing at Coachella. I know more about who was playing at Stagecoach than Coachella, and I haven't looked into either one. But it's like I know like Charlie Crockett was at, and like Sierra Elizabeth Farrell was at Stagecoach, and there's been a lot. I'm a little brain dead right now.
No, but I'm just saying, like the types of people that I encountered were like because country music people, in my experience, are a lot more kind of down to earth, and they're a lot they can be more polite, they can be more like again you say thank you, ma'am, stuff like that.
Too.
Yeah. Whereas
I might be a sucker for cowboys. I don't know. That might. I got like my cowboy boots on right now.
Nice. But it's like, for instance, when we have the rodeo here. We have the rodeo.
I want to go to that so bad.
Yeah, the NFR, the National Finals Rodeo.
That looks fun.
So that's like 10 days in December. And so all the hotels are playing country music. You have cowboys walking everywhere. Yeah, I was going to say that would be
probably a lot of like cowboys. But.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. It's just it seems like each festival just has a different vibe because it is a different thing. So like Sick New World that just happened.
Yes, that's what I watched last night. And I was like, now I'm next door because I had no desire to go. I wasn't, it's just not on my radar for what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I don't have the $300 to spare when I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with this truck on the way. Anyways, but I was like, I have to know someone who's working this. So I reached out to a few friends because I have tons of friends in like that industry, stage hands or all the things. And nobody knew anyone that works there. And I was like, this is weird because we all know everyone. It's a small world, but everyone they were like, I think this one's just different. Like it's a little more corporate. It's also new. I think last year was the first one.
That was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, it's maybe not the most organized.
Well, it's the same. I know the company that does Sick New World also did I think it's When We Were Young or While We Were Young, which is another one that happened. But that happens, I think, more in the fall. But it's the same thing where you're getting bands from like the 90s and the early 2000s. It's just depending on the genre.
They're really playing into people's like nostalgia.
Yeah, but you know what? There's I've seen a good amount of people that are younger, that are in their 20s.
Yeah.
That are because I'm sure there's some younger bands there, but it just made me think though about how like do we have, because again, System of the Down has been around for over 25 years now. And so, yeah, they're still a headliner, but it's like, who are the new bands that are trying to be in that space of that musical genre? Yeah. Because it just seems like metal.
And it's like, I don't know, because I feel like the metal that I'm into, I really like death metal and like a lot of like very not going to be playing festivals of that size metal. Yeah. And I prefer a smaller fest. I actually don't. I'm like a dive bar kind of girl.
Yeah, smaller venues.
Especially after working festivals. Like, if I have to go and watch a band on a screen, like, why am I even there? Because I did that last night for free.
I was going to say, you might as well just do that what you did last night. Yeah.
So I like definitely some smaller things. Like, I worked this one in Austin called Oblivion Access. It formerly was like Austin Terror Fest. But what they do, instead of having like one venue that you're at all day or 2 days, it was like they just planned a bunch of shows in like a 4-day span in one weekend, all at different venues. Okay. So you could basically like pick and choose to buy individual shows or like a full weekend pass. And you go to different places all day, and like there's a few, like say like 4 main bigger venues, but they're all like within walking distance of each other, and it like it's really cool vibes. And then there was after shows, like house party shows during the day, generator shows over on this like alley at night. Yeah, like super cool, and just like you can kind of a little more choose your own adventure type of festival. Yeah, but also it doesn't have that massive stadium vibe, and you're not waiting in these huge lines. You're not paying $25 for a shitty beer. Like, it was just like you're going to cool venues that are like locally run, and like I like that kind of stuff. I'm definitely like a support local.
Well, and the nice thing about the small shows, and I think I feel like this is maybe why bands, because I know some bands that they can play stadiums and stuff, but they still like to play small clubs of like 200 people, because everybody there,
completely different experience.
But everybody there is going to be a massive fan of yours. Yeah, like you play at a festival, and you might. I'm sure you have a good percentage are going to be your fans. But everybody's kind of hopping around. They might watch you for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes and then go to somewhere else.
Or it's like people are also, when like if I was at Sick New World yesterday, I don't like anything for 12 hours.
Yeah, that's
like other than maybe sleeping on occasion. But like I don't give like my attention span. We're just not doing that. And so a lot of times when I do go to festivals, I can only watch like 1 or 2 songs from each band. Again, this might be a personal problem, but but like even if I'm like stoked to see the headliner, if I've been out in the sun like for 10 hours that day, my energy level
you're gonna be exhausted. Yeah. Especially especially if you're like dehydrated because it's so dry and
Yeah. So I'm just like
it's a commitment. Like, and it's weird because like festivals really kind of exploded in the last like 10, 15 years, becoming the thing. Where for instance, back in the 90s, festivals traveled. So things like Ozfest or Vans Warped Tour.
I remember being at Ozfest. I did my first Warped Tour when I was like 30, which I thought was funny. Nice. And I really didn't want to go, but I was like, I have to for my like teenage self. Like, she would want me to go.
We got to see Blink-182 and Green Day.
And then I like literally sat out behind like my friend's van like the whole time and watched like 2 bands at the end.
That's funny.
But it was hot.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, when those used to travel to you, you didn't have to worry about like, I have to get a hotel. I have to do flights.
It's so, because a lot of festival tickets, I mean, we're starting at $300
now.
And then your food and drinks at the festival, you're spending another $100 each day.
Yeah.
At least. And then, and then if you have to take Ubers and hotels and flights, like you have to spend a couple $1,000s to attend one festival. And I don't like that because it makes it so inaccessible for a lot of people, or it makes it so they can only do one big event a year.
Exactly.
And like that,
Whereas if it came to your town, or at least close, like say it came to, it's like, it's a 2-hour drive. So that means you don't have to get a place. You can just drive out to it, be there for the day, and then drive back, or maybe spend the night somewhere. But I don't know. And I feel like as I've gotten older and like, I don't want to walk around the whole time. I like seeing a show where I can sit and, I can stand and sit, I can alternate.
We're just making ourselves sound old. There was one out here called Psycho Las Vegas I came to a few years ago. The last year they had it, I think. And it's all held at Mandalay Bay. And like, I came out for 24 hours. And I didn't even pay for my room. I was just like, I'm just going to fly out there. I'll probably know some people there and I'll find a place to crash. It was unplanned trip. It's so crazy.
You're not into planning. You just like you let life just take you around.
I got like a free ticket and a free hotel room, and I still managed to spend like $200 in one day. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, so I ordered a vodka soda at one bar. It was like $30, and I was like, you know what?
The prices here are insane.
Yeah, I literally have a room that has like a little microwave and a fridge, and I went down a little market and bought some ramens and stuff last night, and I'm like, I took myself out to a nice steak dinner the other night with some friends who were down for Sick New World. We went to Herbs and Rye, and I got like my filet, and I got a nice cocktail. I did the thing, but I was like, okay, now we're eating ramen the next. Because it's about balance.
It is.
Like, I'm not that cheap, but I just have to.
Well, good money management, no matter how much money you make.
Yeah.
Not spending your money recklessly is probably good for whomever. They always say, like, Warren Buffett, for instance, who's, one of the richest people in the world, he still drives like a Nissan or like he still drives a regular car.
Yeah.
He doesn't live in a mansion. He lives in a regular home.
Well, that's what I was talking with my buddy who my truck is at his house right now, is I just bought this 30-year-old truck for $2,000, but like I don't have payments.
Mm-hmm.
And like not having car payments is awesome.
I know.
Like, and I never will. Like, I refuse to have car payment. It stresses me out. I don't want to owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
I don't have student loans. I'm not paying anybody.
You don't want a mortgage.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I want
all cash. Just pay.
I want to buy an RV because I'm.
You travel, so that works better with your lifestyle.
I don't see myself buying it. Buying a house is not really in. I couldn't really do it right now if I wanted to, but I don't want to also. Yeah. By choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I always looked into, I want to buy like an RV, but I'm like, I just don't want to take out loans for like anything ever. And I'm just not.
Well, so many people are saddled with debt.
Yeah. I like to have I'd like to know exactly how much money I have, and I don't want it to be going, I don't owe it to anyone else.
Yeah.
So I'd rather buy an older, shittier truck for cash than get a newer one and have payments. Just not for me.
Dave Ramsey would be very proud of you. He is like a zero, like have no credit cards, have no debt, like don't do anything, don't take out loans for stuff. Because
on this truck, however, is a good investment because I can resell that thing right now for 4 or 5 times how much I bought it for. Mm-hmm. And if I fix it up, I can resell it for like 15 times what I bought it for. So I'm being smart.
Well, it's interesting because cars have an interesting way because like if they're new, then they are almost instantly devalued when you get them, and they're basically removed. But once you get something that might be considered more of like a collector, or something more limited, then the value of it goes way up. Yeah. So. But hopefully whatever's being done to the truck will be.
It was a stupid little thing.
Okay.
It was not.
It always is, right?
It had a kill switch in it, and I messed it up. Anyways, it'll be an easy fix. It's like a $40 part, and my friend can fix it when I'm going to go back over there after this. And so lucky that I found a mechanically inclined friend of a friend while I'm here who happens to have the day off while I'm here, and it's like.
The universe loves you.
Sometimes.
Don't you
Listen, there's some, there's some pits and valleys,
Yeah, but when things align.
Yeah. I feel like there's been a lot of like serendipitous things that have happened to me on this trip. And in life in general, like I feel like I do have a lot of, I count my blessings every day. I'm very grateful. I try to give back a lot all the time too, because I'm all like, we got to get those karmic points. Yeah. Good. I do have like a belief in that, like you kind of get back what you put out, but like I deal with a lot of stuff too. I mean, everybody that's does, not great. But I think, the hard times make you appreciate the good ones more.
They should. Yeah. Well, because if you live in this kind of perpetual state of trying to be happy all the time, then it just becomes very, I think, it almost becomes gray where you don't recognize the happy times because you don't have bad times.
I have plenty of bad times. Just now I've learned I can recognize like this really sucks right now, but like I'll be fine and overall my life is good. Like in the moment, not happy. Yeah. But I've kind of taught myself how to like process things. It's like, what, if this thing's really bothering me, so I let myself really wallow in it for like that day. And it's like, okay, we're going to be upset about this and we're going to cry maybe. And then tomorrow it's a fresh start.
Well, and I think that also comes with age too. You know, when you're younger, things I think affect you more strongly.
Yeah, a lot of things felt the end of the world. There's a lot more hopelessness. And
I'm never going to get over this.
Yeah, we're devastated and I'm just going to, nobody loves me. And I don't know. Like the meme with the ant with his little like hobo bag that like looks sad.
Yeah.
Over like everything. No, I did a lot of like retraining of the way I just like view things. I didn't like change my life outwardly. I kind of learned how to be like grateful for the stuff I had. And it changed everything. It sounds a little corny to talk about, but it's like very.
But that's what growth is about, though.
I'm just like when I go home, I have a fridge full of food and like a house that is, like I got friends and like family that supports me no matter what I do. So like, but already I'm ahead of
a lot of things. Yeah. And it's very easy for people to always focus on stuff that they don't have or the things that are not working out for them. And to kind of, again, small things that might seem silly. Like, I do have a decent source of income, or I do live in a place like, I can afford to live on my own. I don't have to have a roommate. I don't have to live with
stuff
family.
Like that alone. Like, I'm like, I have food and shelter.
Yeah.
Yay. Like killing it
and
today.
have huge boobs, which is always a nice thing.
Yeah.
You'll never go hungry.
Drown.
Yeah.
I could have survived the Titanic without trying.
Exactly. So, but it's just, again, like, I think that as we get older, we just realize it. And as we survive things, it becomes easier for us to be like, you know what, I've dealt with this before. I can get through this. Yeah,
and I've been through a lot of stuff, and I definitely haven't had like a very easy life. In some ways, yes, but I've dealt with a lot.
Trials and everybody. What something I don't like is when people try to almost compare trauma or compare I've suffered more than you, so I'm like a stronger person. Yeah. It's a competition in a way. And I'm just like, you know what? We all kind of we hit setbacks, we hit things that
affect people. Well, it's like I've dealt with like a ton of death in my life. And because of that, I fortunately and unfortunately know how to process it for myself fairly efficiently. Yeah. And I had, I've got some friends who are like, I just experienced my first death ever, and they're in their 30s. And I'm like, first of all, like, wow. And on one hand, I'm like, how is that possible? But then I'm also like, this thing that would be not easy for me to deal with, but I'm like very versed in how to deal with this. But for them, this is like devastating because they've never had to do it before. And
and since it's unprecedented, it's hard to navigate. So, but anyway, not to get too somber on the thing. Let's go into the boobs, because that's always a happy topic. So what is? I'm curious, because I always like to ask this with guests that have natural boobs, because with the guests I've had on that have enhanced, they choose to have boobs that are that large,
which is it's growing up with them naturally. I'm like, how could you? Why would you choose this?
But again, they're different because they feel different.
Yeah, so when they hold themselves up a bit more too, I think.
Yeah, and that's because some of them don't have to wear bras.
Yeah,
and they don't. And that's the thing, natural boobs, you have different requirements, I think, because they move differently, they sit differently.
Well, I stopped wearing bras, and one thing I noticed, like if I go to a bar, I used to always, when I'd sit at a bar, my boobs would naturally go above the bar. Yeah. And then I don't wear bras, I have to be aware of smushing my boobs onto the bar, because I'll be like, ow. Yeah. Because I'm like, oh yeah. And then when I do wear a bra on the occasion, I'm like, Jesus, they're like up off of me.
I was gonna, and so have you always pretty much had huge boobs?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got them. They came in when I was in like 8th or 9th grade. Okay. And they just I looked like a little stick, and then I got hips and tits, just like. And all the women in my family are like extremely curvaceous. Like even the ones who are like more slim than I am, they're still like.
It's in the genes.
We are built similarly. They all got hips, ass, and titties.
So at least you never had to worry. You're like, am I going to get boobs?
Yeah, no,
they were going to show up at some point.
I didn't fret. Maybe a little bit in like 7th grade. I was like, oh.
Come on, where you going? I'm curious. Do you think that might have helped with the bartending? Because obviously, I think busty bartenders might do a little better.
Yeah. I definitely like worked in some places. I worked in this like saloon in Wyoming for a little bit. That was kind of catered to very rich people. And my whole shtick was being the like sassy tattooed like saloon wench, and like it wasn't really an act for me. I was just like I got to like talk a little shit, and people ate it up like it was But yeah, they definitely help with the tips. in, the civ world and in the porn world, of course.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
They're very they have a lot of power in that way. So I mean, do you feel like, because again, are you pretty mixed in terms of how you feel about them? Like some days you love them, some days you hate them.
Yeah, well, when I hate them is when I'm trying to like just lay down and they're just like
on your like
and I'm
strangling
like, get away from me.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, like get off. Like
yeah.
So sometimes when I'm like spooning with somebody, I'm like, can you just like hold them down?
Put them in control.
But like ultimately, it's like literally because I've had them. It's weird. It's like they're they've become a part of my identity because they have affected like every aspect of my life, and now obviously in the adult industry are a huge part of my career. So it's a blessing and a curse. Like all power comes with responsibility.
I always say that having huge boobs is the closest that there is to a real superpower.
And it's like shopping is annoying.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's like sometimes they're just like, I just can't wear some things.
Yeah.
And that's annoying. But like there's a lot of stuff that I have to see to be like, what fabric is it? Is it going to hold it up? But ultimately, I think they're more fun than they are not fun.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Like the face that I see on someone's face every time I like lift up my shirt for the first time will always make it worth it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Because every time they're just like, look.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, they're something that are very fun in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I'm curious, like, have most of the people that you've been with, like, dated and stuff like that, have they really been into them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I think a lot of people just like my curves in general.
Okay, yeah.
But a lot of thighs and butt people also. Yeah. It's just
a lot to grab.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've been with a lot of like specifically boob people.
Okay,
I've been with a lot more of my guys have been butt guys.
Butt guys, yeah.
And I'm like,
come on. Yeah. Well, I mean, because I have had many guests, BBW guests that have both. So it's like, and they always tell me the same thing. It's like the guys they're with are actually more into their butts than their boobs.
Boobs are just a perk.
Yeah, right. It's a bonus.
Yeah,
the cherry on top of the huge butt. But so, okay, yeah, I mean, is there anything that you particularly like having, like, again, aside from when people are cuddling with you and, they can hold them for you? I mean, is there, like, you like them touched in a certain way, played a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, I have very, very sensitive nipples, which is another blessing for me. Like, that's like one of the instant ways to like get me turned on if you're trying to. It's just like one like nipple pinch and I'm like, okay, well now I can't.
Yeah, let's go. You turned it on.
All right, yeah. Literally.
You flick the switch.
That's fun too. I was in like, I mean, they're very sensitive. Which is also, I'm like, no biting. But like we can, but I love having them played with. I mean, it's a favorite move.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just instant, all the blood flow from my brain. It's like,
nice. Yeah. So, and they don't like because you were mentioning earlier about like the kind of having to do exercises and stuff to be able to strengthen your back. I'm all about mobility. My mom, who's 74 years old, she's stacked. She has no back pain. So I'm like, whatever you're doing, I'm going to do that too. Yeah. She has like no aches and pains, 74-year-old. And it's just I just have to do a lot of stretching, swim a lot because getting the gravity off for a bit really helps. Okay.
So I'm just trying to stay active.
Yeah, that's good.
And I do a lot, but a lot of swimming is really nice because I'm like, I'm trying to shoot a pool scene while I'm here because I really think I'm like literally the most buoyant. I can literally just, I don't have to do anything. I just float.
Yeah.
So I really want to do a pool scene because I know I can lay on my back and like literally just have them swishing around. I think them in the pool is probably the most fun thing you can do with skinny dipping.
Really?
With big boobies is the most fun because they just.
Okay.
They have a mind of their own.
Yeah. And especially if they're natural.
Yeah. And it feels nice. It looks fun, know?
Yeah. Do you like huge boobs on other women?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I like all types. It's I am big.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say
I usually like just more alternative. So I'm attracted to people with tattoos, but I like a curvy girl is. And like, if you have ever had big boobs yourself and naked hugged another woman with big boobs, like
feels amazing.
No, I remember the first time in my life that I had sex with another woman who was curvy. I was just like, oh, like I get it now. Like this makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was just like, she's so fucking soft. Like
Yeah.
just like everything. And I was like, yeah. So big boobs.
Good crowd. Yeah.
They don't have to be huge, but like.
Yeah, I mean, because
I like the like hyper feminine kind of like super hourglassy shit. I mean,
yeah.
Because I like bellies, thighs, butts, and all that too.
The curves, all of it. Yeah,
it's a good look.
Well, and it's just because I've had people on too that like when they're into women, they're curvy, but they actually want the women that they're be with to be smaller, more petite, no boobs sometimes, and it's just interesting.
Sometimes I don't want to be with someone who makes me feel like I'm a giant.
Yeah,
because like I said, I like to feel small.
Yeah, exactly, and that's I can understand that. So I mean. And it's like, do you have like, I mean, would you say that it is your like from your fan standpoint, are they, you'll have a lot of boob fans, or is it more like, again, more your butt or just everything?
Just everything. It's all over the spectrum because it depends on where the fans come from. So I have a lot who have followed me because they like to watch my travels and adventures. They like that I'm into the stuff that I am and have big boobs.
Yeah. So they connect on your interests.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love those. But there's a lot of people who lots of belly fans. And like it's kind of all over the spectrum for that.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's mostly focused on boobs, but there's. Okay. I mean, we gotta.
I mean, obviously, my audience tends to be very, very single-minded for that.
And I do a lot of like boob-centric content. Is because it's. I think I had the boobs before everything. I mean, I got it all at the same time, but not. They were the most noticeable when I first.
Well, I think boobs are really great for like body part content, mainly because one, you can do more with them. Like
it's the easiest.
Well, yeah, and they're right there. Whereas like butt stuff, especially if it's huge, even trying to get
when I walk into a room, people are going to notice that I have huge tits first.
Yeah.
And the ass later when I leave.
Exactly. Yeah, you walk in boobs first, unless you're walking in backwards.
But I do think, I've had friends, I've been told this, people are like, oh, do you know Nikki? And they're like, who? And they're like, the girl with the huge boobs. And like, so it's been like a descriptor of me for a long time.
Nice.
In my personal life, not even just in my professional one.
Yeah. But again, like, because you can actually do more stuff in terms of like, because they're right there.
Yeah,
you have a better angle.
They're more mobile.
Yeah, and they move a lot more. They bounce a lot more.
Yeah. It's like my sticker logo. It's got the flames and it's got 2 tequila bottles under it.
Okay.
Before I even got into porn, that was based on a picture where I'm literally holding 2 full-size tequila bottles under my boobs and having my girlfriends drink out of them from the sides.
What?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Like, did you just one day were like, yeah,
let's
try this?
There was a meme going around. It was like from like Reddit, and it was like supposedly this challenge where girls were holding a pen under their boob, and then it was like this woman who held like a broomstick under it, and then my friend had like 2 like Espolone bottles, and I put them under there, and then it was like, okay, it'd be so funny if you get pictures of they're down on their knees, and I'm like standing like this, and like have the 2 tequila. It took us a bunch of tries before we realized we should probably take out the actual tequila and fill them with water. Because in the meantime, my girlfriends are just getting tequila poured all over them.
Yeah, right? You're like, I gotta just try to.
And I have like a photo shoot with another friend of mine where I have a ketchup and mustard under my boobs, and she's down there with a hot dog in her mouth, like kneeling in front of me.
Oh, nice.
So there's a lot of like funny, silly, goofy stuff you can do with them too.
Have you wondered how much weight they could hold? Like if you were able to.
I think a lot.
Yeah. That would be a harder thing to test than just weighing them. Like how much weight can they hold?
It was like a thing on TikTok. One of my friends did it where she put like a plastic laundry basket under them, but then her whole cat gets in the basket and she can still hold it up. And I was like, oh my God. Like I think I could hold a lot.
Yeah.
I have a picture of like holding a sword. That's not. It was a heavy sword, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing, because with natural boobs, it's how much weight can they hold underneath.
Yeah.
And then with the enhanced boobs,
it's
what can be on the top.
No, the shelf is the butt. This is not a shelf. We got a slope.
Although that can be a catcher.
Okay, so when I'm at home and we eat on the couch a lot, as I think is pretty common. I will literally, I put a towel and I will literally hold the bowl or whatever, like right here. And just like, because it's like,
You're gonna catch a lot in there.
So the shelf, or like, we have a Ring camera, and the amount of times like I'm coming home and it's like, say I got a case of White Claw on my way home, and I'm like opening the gate, so I set it up here while I'm like unlocking the thing, and I'm holding something else over here. Like, definitely use them. I tuck my phone under it all the time when I am walking around at home, and there's not.
Yeah.
I stick things under there a lot.
Yeah. Well, they're
useful. Yeah. For. On a practical level.
I'll never get tired of every time when I see like some super busty woman, and it's like, oh, let me get my phone, and they have to go in the top.
I lose my wallet all the time because I do that, and I'm like, where the fuck? And it's like, oh,
like I wonder if someone would manufacture tops with actual pockets. Like internal like how jackets have these kind of pockets inside. Maybe make a bra that you like, or just something where you can already put the phone in there so it doesn't shift.
Yeah, well, because mine has like I got the pop socket thing, so I can't have the big.
Yeah, right.
The
big
third
old
nipple,
popping out. Yeah,
like it pops in and out.
So, but yeah, no, that's the thing is it's interesting to see how utilitarian they can be at certain times.
Yeah, that's another thing where I'm like, I got to put you guys to work, because
yeah, right. I've been carrying you for your entire existence.
Literally, when I'm at home and I'm like cold, I'll do,
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing too. It's like,
I think, tuck yourself in.
Aren't they warm? Like when you put your hands.
It's very, very warm under there.
I mean, maybe not as warm as in between the thighs, because I know that can get warm. But
I'm like, this is feeling pretty hot right now.
Yeah, right. The boob sweat going.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that's you have to adjust to if you don't want to wear a real bra. Is they're gonna hang like. I wanted to get one of those, like, under the chandelier tattoos were really popular on people, but I was like, I can't get that because I have a tan line that's like a crop top here, and then I have a big white space if I hold my boobs up for like 2 inches underneath. Yeah. And I'm like, I could never get tattooed there. That's like the secret space that no one will ever see.
I was gonna say, have you ever worn corsets? Because those will like really push those up.
Well, because I definitely have a pretty small waist compared to everything else.
Yeah.
So I've definitely had what do you call those things? It was it's just like a band that I would wrap around. It was supposed to be for like working out. It was just like a waist trainer.
A lap
thing.
band
It
or
wasn't
something?
a waist trainer, but it was supposedly for like back support. But it was just to make yourself look snatched.
Yeah.
But like I've put those on before, and it's like it looks crazy.
Yeah. Well, because I remember when I was younger going to Renaissance fairs.
I think I'm built for like Ren Fair days. Yeah.
And seeing cleavage at like 10 years old, and I'm just
they're freaking up here. The lady, that one with the teacups on her boobs. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a picture. It's like a thicker woman, and it's from like corset era. And
I think I've seen that. Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Straight out tabletop, shelf.
But that's the only way you can make natural boobs into a shelf is if you prop them up.
No, I did. My friend, we had a little camp out. It was like a motorcycle camp out, and they did like a Ren Fair theme. And I did I didn't do like a real corset because I was also at a camp out. I'm trying to hang out.
Yeah.
But I had a real bra on plus like a little like waist trainer thing, and it definitely like.
Yep.
Because it just pushes everything. Because my hip, it can the hips hold it up, and then it.
Nice.
And they will be up at my chin.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, Lizzy, unfortunately, we're out of time, but
I can talk a lot.
We could definitely keep going. But I just wanted to say, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm super glad we got it to work out.
Yeah, me too. And you were an amazing guest. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you'll want to come back someday.
Yeah, I mean, I am coming back in June. I was just nominated for Best Clip Best Clip Artist of the Year for the Alt Porn Awards.
Nice.
So I just found that out 2 days ago.
Okay, great.
With the day
Congratulations.
So I'm going to be back in June.
All right.
Be back again.
Yeah.
Stay at my old people hotel.
So anyway,
see what happens.
But again, I loved having you on the show.
Yeah, it's been fun.
All right. And to all of you out there in Huge Boob Land, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, Huge Boob fans.